We've got something new for every single role in 14.4 as the meta has been constantly on the move to start Season 14. As always, we've got you guys covered as we'll be breaking down 3 of the best solo carry champions for patch 14.4. Also, we're excited to announce we've done a massive update adding all brand new courses for Season 14 on our website, SkillCapped.com. And if that's not enough, we upload 10 new Smurf commentaries every week where a challenger teaches you how to play every champion in the exact rank you're stuck in. The best part? You can try all this out completely risk-free. If you don't rank up while actively using SkillCapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below to get the rank you've always wanted in Season 14. One top lane champion who's going to benefit a ton from indirect changes in 14.4 is Urgot. Urgot is currently the champion who most commonly buys Black Cleaver, and with the item buffed, it's going to be huge for him. Urgot's also just a really great top lane pick for the current meta, as he plays well into almost all of the most common fighters. In fact, the only meta matchup Urgot has a negative win rate against is Trundle. Since Trundle runs lethal tempo and it's nerfed in 14.4, that matchup will now become easier for Urgot, but it's still a good ban. Urgot's been stomping picks like Jax and Yone in recent patches, so the lethal tempo nerfs are going to make a lot of his matchups even better. Hector even has a brand new commentary for Urgot on our website, and we upload 10 new commentaries every single week for you guys that can really help you out for your Season 14 climb. The core build that you can run on Urgot consists of a Hullbreaker Rush into Black Cleaver 2nd and Sterix Gauge 3rd. There are 2 viable runes pages going around on Urgot right now. Fleet Footwork is great in lanes where you've got to sit back and poke more, whereas in matchups that you're confident you can win the 1v1, Press the Attack adds more all-in strength. A top lane champion who's remained a very strong pick throughout the first few patches of the season is Mordekaiser. Mord continues to thrive with the new Season 14 AP Bruiser build where he can stack 3 AP items that all provide him with health. The consistent DPS that Mord can output while being difficult to take down at the same time makes him a really great solo queue pick. Get ahead with Mord, and whenever your ultimate is available, you'll be able to 1v2 with ease. Even 1v3s can go in your favor if you're super far ahead. If you fall behind on Mordekaiser, the champion can still be very useful due to his ultimate, as you can prevent fed enemy carries from reaching your back line. Mord's going to become even better for 14.4 because 3 of his most difficult matchups from 14.3 are becoming weaker. Yone and Trundle are both dropping in power due to the lethal tempo changes, while Fiora is weaker with her W being nerfed. Even with the Fiora nerfs though, she's still going to be one of the higher priority bans for Mord. Core build you should be running on Mordekaiser is a Rylai's Rush into Riftmaker 2nd and Leandri's 3rd. Rune Page is Conqueror with Triumph, Tenacity, and Last Stand, followed by Bone Plating and Revitalize for secondaries. Even though Illaoi is being targeted with some direct nerfs this patch, the Black Cleaver buffs will help to even things out, and she rounds out the top 3 for top lane. The 14.3 changes to Illaoi were huge for her, as Riot increased her tentacle range by 125, which has given her much more reliable damage throughout the game. Similar to Urgot, Illaoi is a big Black Cleaver user, so she's going to benefit a ton from the item buffs. There are actually a bunch of viable builds you can run on Illaoi right now depending on your matchup. Against comps that will be stacking armor, running Gauntlet and Cleaver as your 2 core items works great. If you're against a more squishy enemy comp though, prioritizing Spear of Shojin is better value. Sundered Sky is even a completely viable rush option for Illaoi as well, so there's a lot of tinkering you can do with her builds. For matchups right now, Illaoi struggles more against Mordekaiser, so it's one of the better bans. Whenever Mord uses R on Illaoi, it removes all tentacles that are in the area, which heavily reduces Illaoi's dueling strength in the 1v1. Optimal rune page for Illaoi revolves around Grasp with Demolish, Second Wind, and Revitalize. The best secondaries are Presence of Mind and Last Stand. Moving on to the jungle top 3 now. Starting us off is going to be Bel'Veth. Belle has had so many indirect changes go in her favor as of recent, and she's currently a phenomenal pick for all ranks. Kraken Slayer becoming stronger in the early game has amplified Bel'Veth's snowball power, while Stridebreaker has been buffed 2 patches in a row now. Terminus is even being buffed for 14.4, so we have yet another change that will positively influence Bel'Veth. The core build that you should be running right now consists of Kraken Slayer and Stridebreaker, while Terminus and Wit's End are interchangeable 3rd items. Landing Bel'Veth W consistently is very important in order to see max success with her, so banning out a very mobile meta champion like Ezreal or Vayne is good value. If you guys are looking to pick up Bel'Veth, we have 9 commentaries for the champion on our website, with a brand new one for Season 14 just uploaded by our challenger jungler SkillShot. Best rune page for Bel'Veth consists of Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, followed by Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. One of the easiest, most effective junglers that you can play for this patch is Brand. Despite Brand having a few skill shots in his kit, it's very easy to be impactful impactful on him just using his point-and-click spells in teamfights. Simply throwing out a well-timed brand R can single-handedly win you games, so it's not difficult to see instant success with him, and you can just build on that with the more games you put in. Full clearing is almost always the best option for Brand, so it really limits his early game variance and reduces your chances of messing up. Every item spike is huge for Brand, as both Liandry's and Rylai's synergize incredibly well with the champion's kit. Once you have those two core items, the teamfight strength of Brand goes through the roof, so playing around objective timers is very important. Worst matchups for Brand are against heavy dive assassin junglers, so using your ban on Kha'Zix or Evelynn is a good idea. For Brand's rune page, look to grab Dark Harvest with Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter, roll with Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. A top tier jungler who's only going to become even stronger for 14.4 is Briar. Briar's another one of those champions who will benefit from the Black Cleaver buffs, and we've had Briar rated as an S tier jungler or above for a while now, so she's a great add to your champion pool. With lethality Briar recently nerfed, it's actually bruiser builds that have taken over and are seeing far greater results for solo queue. A build that you should be looking to try for this patch revolves around a Titanic Hydra rush, grabbing Sundered Sky second, and then picking up the buffed Black Cleaver third. You don't have that same kind of one-shot strength as the lethality setup, but your consistent skirmish strength and margin for error is higher, which does leave you with more room to make the odd mistake. Honestly, playing against a fed bruiser Briar feels a lot more scary than a fed lethality Briar, because at least with lethality, you can try to pick her off or burst her out, but with bruiser, it's way more difficult to punish when Briar gets going. Briar needs to be up close and in the thick of things to be effective, so using your ban on a good peel champion like Janna or Maokai is good value for this meta. Despite Conqueror being very common on bruiser Briar in the past, Hail Blades is outperforming right now with Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, and Treasure Hunter. The best secondaries are Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight. Back at the top of the mid lane meta due to many indirect buffs over the past few patches is Kassadin. Although the mage item buffs were intended to help out a ton of the struggling mages, Kassadin is one champ who uses the items that has not been struggling at all, and as a result of the changes has shot up to the top of the mid lane tier list. The optimal build for Kassadin right now has him rushing Rod of Ages, going Malignant second, and then Archangel's third, and all three of these items have been buffed as of recent. Another factor that will lead to Kassadin's rise in 14.4 is the nerf to lethal tempo. Yone is actually one of the few matchups that Kassadin has a negative win rate against right now, and with Yone becoming weaker early on, Cast won't get exploited as much in that matchup. One meta champion who can be a bit harder to play into as you reach the mid to late game is Twisted Fate, as approaching fights with his gold card is pretty difficult, so he's a good ban. Rune page for Kassadin is First Strike with Magical Footwear, Futures Market, and Cosmic Insight. Run Sudden Impact and Ultimate Hunter for secondaries. Mid lane meta has been really interesting so far this season because traditional mages have been rather weak, but a more supportive mage like Karma is extremely powerful. Supportive mage probably isn't even the best way to describe Karma mid, because she can deal a ridiculous amount of damage. Karma got some buffs a few patches back to her AP ratios, and it's given a huge jolt to the strength of mid Karma. Karma is without question far superior in mid lane than support at the moment, and offers a very simple but effective playstyle. Anyone can pick up Karma mid and see almost immediate results, as you can be impactful in many different ways with the champion. You're rushing Malignance on Karma, and on completion, the mantra Qs will begin chunking squishies extremely hard. Second item is Cosmic Drive, so that you get a bunch of haste and can just spam all your spells off constantly in fights. Rabadon's rounds out the 3-item core to further amplify all your abilities. Our challenger mid laner Shori has a new commentary on our website where he's playing this build, so it's a great resource if you're looking to pick up Karma. With Kassadin likely to see a big spike in play rate for 14.4, and the matchup not being very favorable for Karma if games drag out, he's a good ban to consider. Rune page for Karma is Comet with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Gathering Storm. Optimal secondaries are Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter. Rounding out the top 3 for mid lane has been one of the most reliable mids in recent patches, being Twisted Fate. There's just so much going for the champion right now, as the buffs from a few patches back have made Twisted Fate extremely versatile. It really sucks and can weaken a team's morale if you end up drafting a full AP or full AD comp, but that never has to be the case with TF in the game. AD builds, even on Twisted Fate mid lane, are winning more than AP builds right now, which is pretty crazy. The standard AP setup that you can't go wrong with for most games is Rod of Ages into Lichbane second and Fire Cannon third. The AD build finding the most success on Twisted Fate mid revolves around a Kraken rush into Rageblade second and Fire Cannon third. It may take you a little bit of time to get used to playing each of the builds, as it's almost like you're playing a different champion depending on the setup you run. APTF is definitely the easier of the two, as it doesn't rely on weaving in autos consistently, whereas with AD, your mechanics and spacing do need to be more on point. Assassins with long range catch power are who Twisted Fate tends to struggle against the most, so using your ban on Fizz or Zed is good value. value. You can honestly run so many different rune pages on Twisted Fate, but for AP builds, you can't go wrong with First Strike, and when you're playing AD, taking Fleet Footwork will do the trick. An ADC we've had rated very highly in recent patches, who becomes even better for 14.4, is Vayne. Terminus buffs are going to be great for Vayne, as she's been slotting the item into 3rd slot for most games. Being able to stack up Terminus quicker brings so much more value to the item, and will allow Vayne to excel even more during those mid to late game fights. Wit's End is still a valid alternative when against heavy AP, but against split damage, Terminus is definitely the play. A good ban for Vayne right now is Twisted Fate, as his gold card makes it very difficult to outplay anything with her mobility and forces you into running Cleanse. Rune setup consists of Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, roll with Conditioning, and Overgrowth for secondaries. There are very few times throughout a season to where we have a specific champion rated as a top solo carry for multiple roles, but right now Twisted Fate is an exception. Twisted Fate is just super strong for both mid and bot lane, so just because we featured him for mid already doesn't mean we're not going to recommend him for bot lane too. The issue with a lot of traditional ADCs is that they don't have the ability to influence games solely on their own. Relying on your support to engage or make roam plays can suck, but with TF, he can do it all himself. You have the gank set up with your gold card, and with flash available, there's really no counterplay to it. At 6, you can look for roam plays mid lane off of reset, or when you shove in the lane and you'll catch the enemy off guard more often than not because of the unfamiliarity of ADC Twisted Fate. You could even argue Twisted Fate is stronger for bot lane than he is for mid because AD builds are overperforming right now. Although the meta build for mid lane is more on hit focused, the more popular build for Twisted Fate ADC is an energized setup. You rush Static Shiv, go into Stormrazor second, and then Rapid Fire Cannon third. There's a bit more upfront burst coming out of this build, so it doesn't require as much skill to play as the on-hit build to where you need to ramp autos to be most effective. If you're against a more rangy comp to where the value of Fire Cannon is super high, swapping the order in which you build Fire Cannon and Stormrazor is viable too. Heavy Dive is really the only thing that can shut down Twisted Fate, so using your ban on a meta champ like Nocturne or Maokai is a good idea. The best rune page for Twisted Fate is Fleet Footwork with Overheal, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Grab Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. An ADC who's going to remain a very solid pickup for 14.4 is Misfortune. MF is still performing very well right now, even after the nerfs to Ghostblade and the Collector from last patch. When there's an ADC in meta like Misfortune who's so easy to play but super strong at the same time, there's really no reason to look elsewhere if your main goal is to climb. Early levels may not be the most intriguing, but once you hit level 6, the kill threat is always there when you have ultimate available. With a melee engaged support like Maokai on top of the meta right now who can lock an enemy down for multiple seconds, it gives even more value to having MF in your champion pool since she loves those supports who can enable her R. For the core build on Misfortune, a Ghostblade rush into Hubris 2nd and the Collector 3rd is what we'd recommend. First Strike is the Keystone rune with Free Boots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Run Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for secondaries. It looks like Riot's going to miss the mark with these Maokai nerfs in 14.4, so there's no reason to drop him from your champion pool for support. The fact it's so easy to be impactful on Maokai is a big reason to why he's high priority. Of course, the more time you put into the champ, the more you'll get out, but Maokai is genuinely one of the few supports that you can first time and still have a really high chance of out impacting the enemy support. Maokai just has everything you'd want in a melee engaged support. His CC is very easy to hit, he becomes extremely tanky, he can peel or engage depending on the situation, and his roam strength is hard to match. If you really want to duo up for some free elo in 14.4, lock in Maokai with Twisted Fate ADC. The point and click chain CC with this combo is just gross and will have the enemy wishing they'd never queued up. Since Maokai does need to run at enemies to engage onto them, a peel support like Janna is one of the few good counters, so she's a good ban. The build for Maokai consists of a Trailblazer rush into Locket 2nd, and Solstice Slay will be your support upgrade. The optimal Keystone rune is Aftershock with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching, followed by Biscuits and Cosmic Insight for secondaries. From being more of a niche fun pick in the past to becoming a legitimate carry support for solo queue is Camille. If you want to play a support with incredible engage strength, great roam power, and insane early kill threat, look no further. Camille is similar to Maokai in the sense that her gank assist is absolutely incredible. The range of Camille's E gives such a reliable tool to get onto her target and set up a gank. Where you can really run away with games on Camille support though is by looking for a cheese play at level 1. With Camille's support, you can run Hail of Blades for the Keystone rune, and if you start your E level 1, the stun into Hail of Blades autos chunks extremely hard. Sitting in the far lane brush and waiting for the enemy bot lane to walk into lane and then getting a huge trade-off can single-handedly win you the lane. Now, this means you won't be able to leash for your jungler, so just make sure you communicate that with them so that they can start topside if they want to leash. Use your ban on a champion with strong peel or lockdown who can disrupt your engage, so Maokai or Janna are good options. The best support support upgrade for Camille is Bloodsong, as it adds to her catch power, and then you'll want to build Sundered Sky into Steric's Gauge. And rounding out the top 3 for support is a champion coming off some really nice buffs last patch, being Pyke. Pyke was directly buffed in 14.3, and now this patch, many other supports are being negatively influenced by the support item upgrade nerfs, so Pyke walks away unscathed and will become even better. Bloodsong is only being nerfed for ranged champions this patch, so Pyke avoids any negative repercussions. Umbral Glaive is always the best rush item for Pyke, but second item can really depend on preference or the game at hand. Edge of Night, Ghostblade, Voltaic Cyclosword, and Axiomark are all viable second items for Pyke. Champions that can easily lock Pyke down and prevent him from using his E aggressively are who you should consider banning the most, and in that case, Maokai is a no-brainer option for this meta. Halo Blaze is the optimal keystone rune with Cheap Shot, Zombie Ward, and Relentless Hunter. Run Bone Plating and Unflinching for secondaries. If you truly want to improve and rank up fast, head on over to SkillCapped.com. We just finished a massive update adding all brand new courses for Season 14. We even upload 10 new Smurf commentaries each week where a challenger teaches you how to play every champion in the exact rank you're stuck in. And remember, you can try all this out risk-free. If you don't rank up while actively using SkillCapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below to get the rank you've always wanted this season. So that's going to be all for our latest update on the best solo carries. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good luck in solo queue, and we'll see you back soon.